All right. Greetings and peace. My name is Neo, and I'm here to share some info with the people. Okay, I just woke up probably about like an hour ago. It is early in the AM, and I literally went to bed at 4 a.m. in the morning after I recorded my last video. What was my last video titled? My last video was titled, oh crap. It'll come back to me. My last video, when I got done with my New Year's party, I came back and got here like 3 o'clock, something like that. Got my things together, and then after that video, for some reason got more energy. So it was like I really didn't want to go to bed, but I knew that I needed to go to bed just to relax and regenerate. So I went to bed, and I only had like maybe 4.5 hours of sleep, and I feel energized. And that's literally how much minimum of hours that I need is 4 hours of deep regenerative sleep. Once I get that 4 hours minimum, boys, the whole day I can be on a high energy level, as long as I utilize my energy properly and then avoid a major drain of any sort. So anyways, this video here, I'm going to be talking about psychological issues, the unresolved ones. I spoke about it a lot in a lot of my videos regarding the relationships in particular, and I feel like this is really a good time to really zone in and talk about the psychological issues primarily. Now let me go ahead and let me give you my definition of psychological issues. Psychological issues are any type of issue within the person's mind that causes their mind and brain to create some sort of malfunction, to not allow it to function the way that it's supposed to function. And that includes patience, a low level of patience and concentration, because some people's psychological issues from their childhood cause them to not be able to focus, and that part of their brain lacks focus and attention, and that's the frontal lobe. It deals with focus and deals with intelligence. It's up here. I'm up here a lot throughout my day, the front part of my brain. Sometimes I can feel it when I'm sitting there thinking and just moving around. It's the energy moving around in the front. And one of the areas in the front deals with the executive control, being able to really control yourself and make executive decisions wisely. And the psychological issues are psychological blocks that prevents people from doing the things that they want and need to do, and from their mind from operating properly and their brain operating properly. And psychological issues a large part of them begin during a person's childhood. And this can occur from a variety of situations during the person's childhood, even the most minute thing. And this is largely because as a child, from the time that you're born all the way up to the age of 7, and I mentioned this in my committed relationship ebook, that time between the time that you're born and up to 7 is the most prime fertile time in a person's mind and brain to absorb anything and everything, because the person's mind is completely open for whatever it is that the parents and or anyone else to put into the person's mind, the child's mind, and program it. That is the programming foundation between those ages. Whatever the child goes through, whatever experiences that they go through throughout that time right there, that is going to set up the foundation for the rest of their life. And of course also including the rest of the years. It's going to keep adding on to it, but that's the foundation. So I feel that is the reason why parents and or caretakers of whoever it is, focus primarily during those years of the child's life, and focusing on the psychological development training to build the child up to a mature adult level so that they can function sufficiently, self-sufficiency, and so that even by the age of 14, which is originally the age of an adult, but here in America, Americans in this American society have been taught to retard the maturity process. So that's why a lot of people don't really mature till like they're 25, 30, and sometimes like 50. And sometimes marriage forces people to mature for a variety of reasons. And sometimes for some people, having their own child forces them to mature, which as long as you can mature, then that's good. However, you don't have to wait that long to mature. And I realized this by going through my own maturity process, even though this maturity process, because I didn't really know, I didn't have any help, and I was still resolving my own psychological issues during the process of me maturing and developing myself, training my mind and evolving. So there really wasn't one specific thing that I did primarily, so it was just all over the place. So for me, if I do create a maturity process course, I would sit down and figure out all of the basics and more, so I can break it down for people and say, look, this is a good route to go. So anyways, so within those years, those the prime years to build a foundation for the child, and the child goes through so much. And living in this America, I'm telling you, because the so-called elite, they put this American society through so many projects, so many experiments that fucks up the parents' minds, the family's minds in general, and it doesn't allow, the majority of the time, doesn't allow the child to develop a pure, highly refined mind. So that's why a lot of adults here, they think that they are grown. However, due to their unresolved psychological issues, they can't comprehend a variety of things. They can't do certain functions properly and smoothly. And one thing that a lot of people have is they lack concentration. I'm telling you, concentration is really, really highly important, especially within social engagements and including conversations, because like I said in my last video, it's coming through. Social behavior, that's it. Yeah, my last video was social behavior. When it comes to communication, I said that as far as listening and even speaking, your mind has to be on a certain concentration level to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently. Because again, when you're speaking, you have to know what to say that's most effective within the current situation, and also efficient within the current situation. So it's concentration that is important. So you have a lot of parents during the child's childhood. They would tell things like to their child that you're stupid. And there was one case study where I was sitting at a lady's house, an old friend of mine sitting at her house, and her grandson, he walked up to me, and he was like, and he talking about himself. He was like, I'm stupid. The kid was like 6. He was like 6 years of age, and he literally said that he was stupid, and he said it with conviction. And me looking at the mother, which is my old friend's daughter, it was her son. Yeah, so it was her grandson. But the kid, he has a barrage. He constantly receives a barrage of negative commands, negative sayings from his mother. And his mother suffers from a high level of psychological issues. And it was obvious for me when I met her, within probably a few minutes or a few hours. And when she gets angry, she lashes out at her son. And this is due to her, the mother, having a terrible to no relationship, strong mature relationship that was productive with her father. So her, whether it be consciously or unconsciously, she hates her father, and she takes that out on every male that comes through out her life. And she might have, and this happens for a lot of women. It happens to a lot of women and males too, but for a lot of women. And I have family members that I've studied that whenever the female in general, not only my family, but I mean in general, whenever the female does not have a strong, mature male father figure in their life during their childhood in particular, they usually, one way or another, develop some kind of psychological issue that sabotages their relationships with males in general. And sometimes what's very sad is that the son suffers from this. And my life is an example of that with my mother. My mother didn't have a strong relationship with her father, which is my grandfather. And I know this by speaking with other relatives, and also my grandfather who made the transition. He came through during my dream time. And y'all know, well, if you haven't noticed by now, I'm on a whole lot of spiritual stuff, and I can speak to the other side as long as I focus. And he came through during my dream state, and he told me a few things about my mother, and he said that he's sorry, and he wanted me to tell my mother that he's sorry. And when you make it on the other side, you get to your higher self, higher spiritual self. Once you so-called die, you go to the other side and you get to your higher self, and you realize all of the shit that you did and didn't do. So you're like, oh fuck, I didn't mean to do that. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this to my daughter. I didn't mean to do this to Robert or Tamika, whatever. And whatever, you realize it, you're like, oh, so that's why for my mother, I avoid being highly negative to her, because if she doesn't wake up during this physical realm where she's in her physical life, then either on her deathbed or when she make it to the other side, she'll be like, oh, now I see what he was talking about. Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. And I'm gonna be like, yes, I know. When she make it to the other side, or when she's on her deathbed, it's like, yep, I already know. I knew this was gonna happen, so I forgive you. Because you wasn't in your right mind. So anyway, so my mother doing that, and then her going through a negative experience with my father, that's number two. That's two males. And with him cheating, and with my mother not resolving her psychological issues with her father, and she was still angry, and her not knowing what she's doing in her life and getting married way too young, 19 years of age, with my father, and find like an adult. So they got married just like a lot of people, not doing everything right correctly. So they got married thinking that they're in love, and then the psychological issues, they creep up, and these psychological issues within people, if you don't resolve them as soon as possible, they will creep up in your life situations, especially in your relationships, at the wrong fucking time. This happens a lot to a lot of people. It happened to me in the past before I even realized like I can control what's going on in my mind and my ego and my emotions, and it happens to a lot of people. And when I'm sitting there studying people, I'm like, oh shit, it pops up. So with my mother, I get the results of this too. So I'm the third male in her life, and boy, my mother said some crazy shit, and she has done some crazy shit in my life. And one thing that she did was when she sold my Xbox, and I'm not gonna go into details, but when she sold my Xbox 360 without my permission, because she thought that I did something which was extremely false, and she did not have a conversation with me, and she had no justification at all to blame me. But because she was angry, and she still had that father issues, and that includes my father and her father issues, she just ran out and put it all on me. So then she went and sold my Xbox 360, which I left at her house, thinking that it was completely safe for me to come back and leave it there, so that whenever I come to her house, I can go ahead and play it. So then she got angry before she even talked to me. Well, no, she sent me a text. Literally, didn't call me and have a conversation, but she just went there and just sold it. So then when I came to her house one time, I was like, and I looked in the closet, that's where I hid it, and she somehow, some way found it. I don't know how she found it, and I never even told her about it. So she found it, and she sold it, and I was like, alright, where is my Xbox 360? And I just said that I wasn't going to go into details. And then she said that she sold it, and she said that she was sorry. And ever since then, after that, I was like, well, see, now we know clearly, Mom, who is the most mature one. You just revealed yourself, as you revealed yourself throughout the years, and all of my sisters revealed themselves of their maturity level. And then my mother was like, yes, I see, you're the mature one. And I was pissed for like that whole hour. But then I sat down, took a deep breath. I knew how to get through it, calm my emotions down, and I relaxed, and I knew that it was not a good idea to say anything negative to her and to fight her, which I really wanted to say something negative. It took me a whole fucking hour to keep myself calm. I was like, I had to sit down at the dining room table, relax, just kept it relaxing and relaxing. I overcame it, and then I just left and went home, and I just said, all right, that's it. I'm not, and that was a time where our relationship changed, and ever since then, my situation with her, I realized it's best to just keep a distance from her, and literally keep a distance. And then she did something else again, and then that was it. I was like, nope, this is it. It has to stop. I'm keeping even a further distance from her. So anyways, that's the situation, and I wanted to give my experience too. So that's the situation with when a female doesn't have a strong, mature male in her life to guide her and to be there for her, and be a great first experience with a male in her life. And it doesn't matter if the child's father was there in their life, whether it be a male or female in their life. If it's not a mature male and a mature, productive experience throughout the child's life, then the child still will develop some sort of psychological issue regarding that gender, regardless whether it be the mother or the father. It always gets developed. And the mother, the father, the cousins, anybody in the family, they can say one thing, and because the child's mind is so fertile and is so open that they accept it, and it becomes a program in the person's mind, and then they go through life carrying that program unknowingly. This is why this fucking human realm is so fucked up. It's so fucked up because, number one, you're at a disadvantage because you come in as a baby, a retard. I don't care what you say, as a baby you are a retard, and you are dependent on everybody else to help you grow. That is highly unfair, I feel like. That's one reason. Then the second reason is your mind is so fucking open, you can't protect yourself from these programs that come in through from your parents, your family, that say and do stupid things because they are unconscious. They don't know who the fuck they are and what they're doing, and they think they mature because they got a job and money in the bank and a car, and they have children talking about I'm ground. You know, that gets so annoying. It's a lot of females that say that, but there's some men that say, oh, I'm a grown man, and then they do so many stupid, immature things. And as soon as they say I'm a grown man, usually that's the ones, a grown man or I'm a grown woman, and then the other one is I'm grown. A lot of teenagers say it. My sisters, all of them said it. All of my sisters and a lot of my cousins and a lot of other students, or my co-students, whatever you call it, my people I went to school with, the females, they would say I'm grown. Usually when you hear that, they are on an immature level. Usually, because very few people, like I said in my maturity video, very few people actually have been through some form of maturity process during their childhood or within their life at all that allows them to mature to a higher level and to be fully self-sufficient, so that they know how to behave in every situation within their life, especially social engagements. And due to this lack of maturity process, people, they are unsuccessful in a lot of areas of their life. A lot of areas of their life. And I can point out to you a variety of situations that show that a person is immature. They haven't matured yet. And so anyways, back to this. So the psychological issues, they get started at youth. And then let me give you another example. I just recently was watching a court show, and it's not only a court show, it's there's other case studies of people in my neighborhood when I was younger. Like the mother and or the father would leave their child at home, right? They'll say to the child, look, Tommy, okay, I'm going to the store and I'll be right back. And the mother and or father or the caretaker, they have an alternative motive to officially leave the child at home. And they walk out the door and they never come back. This happens a lot, and it still occurs a lot, and that becomes a psychological issue, and that becomes a separation and anxiety within the individual, even when they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and they never resolve that. So whenever they get into a relationship with an individual, and that individual says that, okay, I'm going to the store, especially when they say the store or whatever has an association with when they were a child, the mind, the ego remembers that from when they're a child, and they bring it back up, whether it be conscious, they be conscious of it, or unconscious. But then they get nervous, so then they start sending texts to the other person, and when you coming back, and it could be like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. When you coming back? When you coming back? They freak out. They really, really freak out. And that is a psychological issue that sabotages relationships. And I can go on and on and on with these examples, but that is one real life example that I have seen throughout my studies and throughout real life situations, me observing people. And even with the last female, one of the females that I dealt with, the 23-year-old that I said in one of my videos for the dating process video. And I'm going to go into more detail about her because I learned a lot about myself and psychological issues, because she was one who, oh yeah, let me go into this too. Alright, so the 23-year-old that I mentioned, we're going to call her J. I'm going to call her J. Very, very beautiful young lady. And her mother wasn't in her life. Her mother, I think, was a crackhead, and her mother got beat by her father. And her father, I believe she said, raped her, the 23-year-old J. So she got raped when she was young. And then her mother left her. And I forgot how she said that she grew up too. Forgot how she said she grew up. So she didn't have a strong relationship with either of her parents. And then she somehow, at one point, she moved out on her own. And when she moved out on her own, I would say that was probably the worst thing that she could do. Unless she was on a high psychological level and spiritual level, because some of us, we can do it, but that's some of us that come through with more energy as souls, and we can override a lot of stuff. But the average person, they're not on that level, and they don't listen to their spirit. Some of them are on that level, but they have so many issues, and they can't override those childhood issues and those childhood experiences. So they get caught up, they get trapped in that family trap, like I mentioned too, that family trap, and they just be so angry. They carry that anger from their childhood into their adulthood. So this young one, she been through so much. Jay been through so much, and she developed so many psychological issues. She was on a lot of medications when I met her, a lot of medications. So I just knew something was up, but I was okay with dealing with her. I was like, okay, because I'm the one that I can actually help her resolve her issues and teach her how to utilize her mind, teach her the basics and more. So what else she been through? And then she had like anxiety attacks in her last relationship with a guy before I came into the picture, because they broke up when we met. Sometime before we met, she had an anxiety attack while she was driving, and that anxiety attack came from a lack of knowledge about the mind, her brain, being able to control her mind and her emotions, and also the psychological issues. So when a situation occurred with her and her ex, during that time, she was driving, and she had to pull over. Something he did, and he disrespected her in a major way. Like he either cheated or no, she got jumped by a group of girls. This man, she told me a lot of stuff. And after the situation where she pushed me away for the last time, and I never saw her. Well, I saw her again, but we never like really spoke. And it was again her psychological issues was what caused her to push me away, because her mind was just so fragmented and all over the place that the slightest thing, because she didn't get her way, she got angry. And she got angry because of another situation too that happened the night before, and then she just pushed me away. And it was something very minute, because she was angry that I didn't get her 2 bags of crab legs or something, some kind of crab things that she eats. And she didn't tell me during that night, while I was there and everything was hunky-dory and everything was good, early, and she was happy when I came in the door, gave her a hug, everything was happy. And then she told me like maybe a few weeks later that that was the reason why she was angry at me, because I gave her I bought her one bag of the crab legs or whatever they were, and then she texted me that, and I texted her back. I was like, that is so immature. I was like, are you serious? That's the reason why you was mad at me? And the next morning, she just was all over the place. She was not in a, she was mood. And me, I didn't want to argue with her because I knew that that was just gonna go crazy. And at that time, I did not know what to do because I thought I was ready for that experience, but I wasn't strong enough. And she just pushed me out. She was like, "All right, you gotta go." And ever since then, I just left her alone. It was hard for me to leave her alone because I felt like I was the one that she needed in her life, because she never had anybody else that was actually sitting down with her, cared for her, and like, look, we're gonna get you to a higher level. And that was my intention. That was really, really my intention with her. And that's how it is with a lot of women that I deal with, because I see the low level that they're on, but they have to see the low level that they're on, and they have to want to go further and evolve in order for them to really perceive what I'm trying to do with them and accept my help. That's what I learned from Jay, dealing with my situation with her, because she had so many issues and her mind was so fragmented that she couldn't see that I was pure. I was one of the very few pure people that came into her life. And you people have to know that people come into your life for reasons. The spirit, they bring through all the people that you need, but it's up to you to pay the fuck attention and realize like, oh, okay, he came into here because he can help me with this. She came into here because they can help me with this. And the spirit said that I need this into my life. Okay, well, let me get to know this person the best way possible. But she didn't realize that, and she couldn't. So that's why I'm not mad at her. I'm definitely not mad at her. I'm just happy that I got out unscathed, and I'm happy that I was at a strong psychological level to deal with all of the crap that she said to me and she did to me. And sending me those suicide texts. She sent me a suicide text that talking about that she was ready to kill herself. I was at the library and she sent that, and I was like, yo. So she had suicidal thoughts. And that can and sometimes do come from psychological issues, but also, like I said, in the family trap video, if you have not seen that video, go back to that. But the family trap video, some of us, some souls, they come through and they're very, very powerful, and we're about to make change in this physical realm, but you have a lot of other beings that will hold you down, and they will send so many distractions so that you will get distracted and you won't be able to access your higher spiritual power, your true innate power, divine power that is that you're entitled to. So then you end up walking around in this damn physical world thinking that you're just a weak little human. And then those ones that got so many things going on in their life and they can't seem to get themselves together, and they're in a low depression all the time. A lot of times there's these beings that's just sucking the energy and doing all these things to distract you, and also bringing certain people into your life and giving you certain negative suggestions. So that's why you got to get on a high level and be able to be on a high energetic level that these beings, they can't come around you. So that's why for me, I keep my auric field as cleansed as much as possible, and I have only positive thoughts in my head. And when you get on a high auric field level and it's pure, it's like literally pure bliss. You feel like you're in heaven, and only good feelings come through your mind. And that's when I get like that, I don't want to be around nobody if I can, because I know that other people's energies, they'll fuck it up. So I got to figure out how to pack my energy, which is really meditation, more meditation. Pack my energy where it's so strong that nobody else can influence it. Yeah, influence, and it depends on your environment too. Your environment that you're in can influence your auric field also. But there's ways to combat these beings. But she was one of the ones that, she was powerful. Jay was one of the powerful ones, and I didn't realize that till after I sat down and did meditations and just did more self-reflection. And I knew that she was one of the powerful ones, and she was talented in a variety of ways. And I said, that's why we met. I was the one to be able to help her. But anyways, I got a little bit too far. Well, no, actually, no, that's good. That's good, because I told Spirit to help me to get this information out, and that's what they wanted me to say. So that was my own personal experience dealing with psychological issues with another person, another individual. So that actually was good. So the best way to resolve your unresolved psychological issues is you have to get to your self-reflection, your personal development work, and you got to start with your parents or whoever you grew up with. And predominantly, you got to learn how to observe and reflect on those experiences you had with them, with those individuals, because you went through those experiences for a variety of reasons. Because your spirit, if it did not want you to go through those experiences, it would not allow you to go through it. Because your higher self, it knows what you're about to go through before you know it. The physical you knows it. In this physical realm, you can even tap into knowing what you're getting ready to go through if you get on a high spiritual level. But it knows what you're getting ready to go through. So it prepares you in a variety of ways, but you got to pay attention. And also, it only allows you to go through certain situations so that you can learn something for whatever reason that you need to learn, and also so that you can obtain anything that you have been needing in your life, because your higher spiritual self knows exactly what you need more than what you know. It knows what you need at any given moment more than what you know. So you got to pay attention. And I feel like if Jay was a lot more psychologically stable, she would have realized, like, okay, he's different, he's here to stay, so let me go ahead and see where this leads. But she had that bipolar depression. Yeah, that bipolar depression, because it was sometimes we'll be in a happy mood together and everything will be perfect, and then she'll just out of nowhere she'll just like cry, and I would be like, why is she crying? And then I knew that was the reason. She had that bipolar situation. And so I also have a self-reflection, self-development article on my blog, and what I'll do is I'll put that in the description, the link for you to go to, and you can check that out. I'll go into telling you how to start your personal development work, and it starts with your early childhood. You got to be able to go back and be unbiased with what you see in your mind. You can sit down by yourself and say, okay, all right, wait, hold on, let me think. What can you say? So Spirit, what can they say so that they can bring the images up? Okay, what in my childhood that I need to know right now that will help me start my personal development work and to resolve my unresolved issues? Yeah, you can say that specifically or something of that nature. And you got to sit down in a quiet environment, turn off your phone if possible, take deep breaths. If you want to go into a deep meditation, you can do that, but just relaxing, you can go into even a light meditation, and pay attention to your thoughts, your images that's in your mind, and your feelings. In your earliest childhood memory might pop up in your head and say, look, this started here and this caused your situation for this. Your spirit knows everything that you need to know, but you need to just sit down and ask the right questions. Asking the correct questions will get you the correct answers from your spirit, your higher self. So you can do it, but you have to learn how to perceive the information. And it took me years to do this. So once I realized that I have spiritual help to get information for my life and guidance, that's when I avoided, and especially seeing how my family is. They're psychologically unavailable and emotionally unavailable. That's when I started to depend on myself, my own inner self. And that's how I'm able to give this type of information by developing myself and spending a lot of time on myself doing self-reflection. And I moved my self-denial years ago. So my personal development work is working more rapidly and effectively now because of that. Because you got to remove your self-denial, and self-denial deals with your ego. That's why you got to learn how the ego operates, because it's a very, very, very tricky, tricky mechanism that is really obsessed. It gets you obsessed with yourself, and it doesn't allow you to grow on a high spiritual level, because the ego knows that it's not a spiritual being, and it knows that it could die once the body dies. So, but the spirit knows that it's invincible. It's invincible, and it wants to come through at certain points in people's lives, but the person hasn't been able to get that ego out of the way, and they've been so obsessed with their daily human life, going to work, worrying about money, obsessed with their toxic relationships, and just being distracted with this human life. That's why, like I said in one of my videos, is detachment. I said in one of my updated videos and one of my other recent videos that detachment is the key. You got to detach from a variety of these material obsession, this human life, and live more of a simple life and have all your necessities, rather than trying to run around with these luxuries and all that, these unnecessary luxuries, and focus more on the simple life. The more you focus on the simple life, then the more your spiritual self can come through, and the more you mature, the more your spiritual self can come through. Because right now, the reason why most people can't perceive their spiritual self and the information that comes through is because their fucking ego is in the way, and it's like it's blocking. It's blocking. But as soon as you move that, then the information come through, and you're like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. All this time I've been doing this, when in actuality I'm supposed to be doing this. And that's the reason why I've been wanting to do, I've been having a feeling to just do this, such and such, all of these years. And then life will make so much more sense when the spiritual self becomes perceivable by you. Okay, Spirit just said that it's time to end this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope this helped you in any way possible. If you have any more questions and concerns, send me an email. The email is in the description, which usually is in all of my videos. And also check out my blog, comment, like, share, especially share this whenever you can, especially on your social networks, and subscribe. Alright.